Alright, what's up guys, Zero here, and today I have for you my deck profile for Meer. So this was this was one of the decks that I took to Autumn CS with me. Performed pretty well, performing exceptionally well on ladder for me right now. I want to say one of like the only decks I've been playing on ladder right now, just because Narukami is everywhere on ladder, and I think this deck is very good at dealing with it. So I think this deck is pretty good. I think it is, in my opinion, the best variant of Bermuda right now. So without further ado, let's get to the list. So this is the list. So one minor change from the list that I played at CS. I swapped out the Victoria for the Loris. I don't think it matters too much which card you put in this slot. I just thought that the reason behind the swap was that sometimes you're just great stuck, and the Stride Fighter can search your one Loris if you need to. So that's the kind of only reason why I swapped it. Other than that, I do think the Victoria has more overall applications. Like if you get your game plan going, of like ride ride Meer into the other Meer or in strats or whatever. I do think the Victoria being an option to have more defensive options, as in duping resistant intercepts or duping PGs or not decking out with Legion, is a higher ceiling. But I think that sometimes you just not being able to ride is sometimes just really bad. So obviously it's always really bad, but so I do think having the option to search a ride with your Stride Fighter is pretty good. So that's why I swapped to the one Loris. But that's it for that. We'll just go over the list card by card. First off, the starter is the Akari. Her skill is Forerunner, like every other starter, pretty much every starter. She has Harmony, so what the skill is when something is placed in the same column as it, both units become in harmony. And then some skills require you to be in harmony to do things. This deck doesn't really, off the top of my head, I don't remember anything that needs harmony to do anything. So that's just kind of there. It's just there, but you use it for the other skills. GB1, I guess she herself needs to be in harmony, but she does it herself, so that's fine. So GB1 of the units in harmony, you can put her into soul, bounce a card back to your hand, and draw a card. So this part rocks all your on bounce skills, as well as and you draw a card, which is pretty nice. And most importantly, she has anti-retire, meaning she cannot be retired by card effects. Very important right now in a meta filled with Narukami on ladder, where the Zoras pops back row. If this is your only back row, it'll hit this, and then it doesn't get retired. Sometimes even if you have something else in the back row, if they hit the Akari, she doesn't die, and the other card is safe. So yeah, I value this card as an anti-retire starter more than anything. The skill does come up, but she's mainly here because she's a booster that just cannot be removed from the board for the most part. So yeah. Next up for grade 1, we play the duo PG. Let's go with PG first. We play the duo PG because we are playing Roan and other duo cards that can dupe duo names. So that's why we play the Aria, the duo PG, just because of that. Otherwise, if you weren't playing the Roan stuff, or you were playing like a deck, or basically just if you weren't playing Roan, you'd play the counter PG. But since I do think that Roan is really good, I do opt to play the counter PG in this deck. So yeah. Next up is the Piranha, I think is her name. It's a duo 10k attacker. So front row, rear guard, if your Vanguard is a duo, plus 3k, so 10k attacker. I don't think this card's particularly good or anything. I just play it because it's a duo name, meaning you could dupe it, as well as it being a 7k base, so it scales properly, and then it occasionally is a 10k attacker, which is sometimes useful. So out of all the duo grade 1 names, I just find this card the most useful out of all of them. If you don't really care for the duo names, you can play. There's a 6k booster that becomes 10k with a with GB1 and Harmony, I think, or something like that. That card's fine too, but I personally like having the 10k attacker, having the duo name, so that's why I play 4 of this. And then the other 4 of is the Stride Fighter. So usual Stride Fighter stuff. If you're paying cost to Stride, plus 2 grade in hand, and then on play you discard a card to search it for a Loris, and we are playing the one Loris now, so there's that. And then finally the one of is Akura, Soul Blast 2, Counter Charge 2. It's okay. It comes up every once in a while, but usually your soul ends up being used with Clancy to help you draw cards. And this deck does need to be wary of soul, just because you can't soul blast out your break ride Mirror if you want to do your break ride combo. So that's why you don't need to play Kura in high quantities. Also, this deck is relatively light on counter blast, so it's fine. It's just a cool one. If you draw it, you're happy. If you don't see it, it's also whatever. So yeah. That's it for the grade 1s. Onwards to the grade 2s. We have four. We'll go over bottom top. So first off, we have 3 Roans. Vanguard rear on hit. The Vanguard CB1 bounce a dual rear to hand. And if you and then you also get to add one from your deck with the same name as the card you bounce. So duping cards. So usually your go-to targets are Clancy and PGs. Usually Clancy for just secure extra intercepts. And then less of it later in the game, or if you just don't have anything else to clone, you can also clone PGs. So a pretty good card. At first I was playing for resist of the other resist, the Amelia, but after playing a bit, I definitely realized that Roan is very important for this deck to be able to have just a cheap plus as well as a very good selective plus, if anything, because although Amelia can draw you a card, the one card you draw has to be good. With Roan guarantees high quality pluses because the main cards you're duping are the PGs and the Clancys, so you ensure that the card you're adding is a good card. So yeah, there's that. And also having something to do on turn 2 is nice. And if you're ever grade stuck, if you're stuck on a row, you don't put 2 bad bags, you can always dupe PGs or dupe Clancy's just to keep up with card advantage. So yeah, Roan, pretty good card, very good card. But I do think having extra resist with the Amelia is nice. That's why I don't play the full set of 4. So yeah. And next up we have Clancy. When bounced from board to hand, so soul lost one, counter lost one, draw a card, and has resist. Most importantly, it has resist. This skill actually does get used quite a bit in this deck because you do need some ways to plus, because your break right turn combo actually does require a lot of hand and board, because you need board because you need to facilitate like scaling multi attacks, and you need hand because the new Meer is 3 discards, so you do need hand. So discards skill does come up quite often, so very nice. And the fact that it has resist is the reason why you play it. But this first skill here actually is used quite a bit as compared to something like in old duels where it was just kind of there. So yeah, very good card, definitely play forfeit. Next up is 2 Amelias. So her skill is GB1. When bounce to hand, CB1, draw a card, and resist. So this card basically just acts as 2 extra copies of Clancy for all intents and purposes. The only difference is she's not a duel, so you can't dupe her with something like her own. So gotta keep that in mind. So usually what happens is if you're just playing down an intercept for the sake of putting down an intercept, and you have to choose between something like Amelia or Clancy, usually choose to play down the Amelia first, because with Clancy it is dupable, with Amelia it is not. So yeah. And finally, the last 4 of grade 2 is the Spica. So her skill is GB1. When the attack that when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if she is boosted, you can CB1 to bounce any unit other than herself, so anything that's not her, and then call a card from your hand onto your board and give that unit 3k. So this thing enables this card enables multi attacks. This thing is a soft once per turn, or yeah, soft once per turn. So if you actually, it's not once per turn at all. She's once per turn. The fact that when she attacks, she's rest herself. But the thing that makes her so good is that when you do your multi attack turns, most of the time you end up bouncing cards. So you're bouncing this back to your hand, and you can replay it down. And as long as you also bounce it a booster or just left the booster stand, you can use the same Spica again multiple times in a turn. So this card is very, very good. And then even though you can't bounce herself, the way to get around that is to bounce literally anything else and then play over the Spica in the other column if you needed. If your hand was that bad, you needed to, and you couldn't bounce, and the other front row had to be another Spica. So you can get around the restriction like that, but this card is very good. Definitely very needed for your kill turn. But you only need 1 for your kill turn, but you do need to see it, so that's why you play 4 of it. So yeah. That's it for the grade 2. Onwards to the grade 3. Finally, we have, I guess, triggers. We have Heal Guardian. Heal Guardians are Heal Guardians. Not much else to say here. Heal Guardians are good. You play them in every deck, so yeah. And the next, you have the Meer Break Ride. I don't remember all the names of these mirrors. I think it's like this one's True Sister, I think. Well, regardless, her skill is Limit Break 4, Break Ride, 10k power, like all Break Rides, and she gives the card that wrote on top of it once per turn. CB1 bounce. You can CB1 to bounce any number of rear guards from your board to your hand, and if you do, call 2 cards. So what usually happens here is they're at 5. Ideally, they're at 5 on your kill turn. You bounce your 2 front row, and then you call them back down. And ideally, one of those is Spica. So the kill turns usually go something like against double intercept at 5. Usually the kill turn is like a rear guard unboosted to intercept, rear guard unboosted to an intercept, Vanguard, break right skill, call the 2 front rows back, call like a Spica and something else. That something else ideally is a solo attacker, so it can be like a grade 3 or whatever. It doesn't matter because you'll end up bouncing the Spica anyway. So yeah, like I said, rear to rear, rear to rear, Vanguard to Vanguard, bounce, bounce, call 2 cards, and then the solo attacker hits Vanguard, and then Spica boosted will bounce the other card that swung back to your hand. You call down ideally an intercept, and then you swing that, and then Vanguard is a reride from Soul, so then you also get an extra swing like that. So it's a lot of attacks to face. That's remember correctly, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks? Yeah, 5 attacks. It's 5 attacks to Vanguard, so you need 5 cards for that. So that's very, very powerful kill turn, and obviously the less intercepts they have, the more you can abuse Spica, because if they don't have double intercept, you can go rear to rear, Spica to Vanguard, and then bounce that, and then rear to Vanguard, and then after that you spend Vanguard to reset your columns, and you can use Spica again after that. So very, very lethal if your opponent doesn't have double intercept at 5, and it does come up every once in a while. So it is something to note that you basically have guaranteed lethal once your opponent is at 5 without double intercept. So yeah. And then finally, the other Meer is the Absolute Sister. I don't remember the name of these Meers. They're all something sister. Same card, just different art. Her skill is Limerick 4. She gets a skill CB1, discard 3, at the end of that attacked. I don't even remember attack the Vanguard or not, but usually this is attacking Vanguard. So and then at the end of the battle that attacked, I'm assuming Vanguard, you would just CB1, discard 3. To ride a copy of the Break Ride Meer from your Soul as stand, and then draw 2 cards, and then she goes back to your hand. So the reason why she goes back to your hand is because they want you to like loop this, but realistically, if you're going for this, you're killing them on that turn, and on the follow-up turn, you probably don't have the cards to do this again anyway. So what usually ends up happening is you end up tossing this card as stride fodder for cost. So again, like this is the thing that facilitates your combo. It's basically a restanding Vanguard. Only issue is you can't put power on the Vanguard unless you have a booster behind it, and then as well as the fact that the reride doesn't give power. So if you're killing from 4, you basically have to have a booster behind the Vanguard for your Vanguard to hit again. So it's kind of awkward, but I think this is like probably arguably one of the best kill turns in the game right now. So very powerful, very good. And then the other skill is once per turn, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1 to bounce a card from your. To bounce a card on your board to your hand, add a copy with the same name as from your deck to your hand, and then put a card from your hand to your Soul. So what this skill is really doing is they want you to use the skill to like dupe something, and then put a copy of the Break Ride Meer into your Soul, so you can use her other skill to re-ride, and then set that kill turn up for afterwards from the following turn. So that's what that's for. This skill rarely comes up for me because I usually stride, and then on your kill turn you're probably killing them anyway, so you don't really need this skill to do PGs or anything like that. But it's there if it comes up. I rarely ever use this skill, but it's there. Just something to know that the card can dupe cards like that if you need to. And finally, the one Loris. This is just your searchable card that lets you search for the Strider to ride in case you need to. Has Harmony, and then GB2 gets something as power and a crit. This card, I don't know what this does. It's like what, like it never comes up because you're never not on a stride if you're on Loris. So it's something about Harmony, something about 5k power, something about a crit. It's cool, whatever. It's there. But the reason we play this card, again, searchable, but the on stride skill is actually pretty good. Or it's okay when you're in a stride on top of it. CB1 to bounce a card, and then you draw a card. So that's pretty good, right? And just bounce draw. It's a cheap +1. It's okay. And then on ride plus 3k. So yeah, that's okay. And then finally the G zone. I will say this is not optimal. If you have the resources to get it, you ideally have 4 Olivias over 2 of these Somnies, but I don't, so I'm playing 4 Somnies. So first off, the Somni, on hit to Vanguard, you can bounce a card to your hand, and if you do play a card back down, you get 3k power. So it's like a way to push damage, a way to proc your on bounce skills. It's a way to and the extra 3k power is really nice because it also scales, because 9 plus 5 is 14, but with an extra 3k it's 17, meaning you scale over a non-defensive. And obviously you can just put power on the booster to make it scale if you happen to see them. So the plus 3k, this card's actually really good. It's a really good like first try that helps you push a little damage if you need to. And then second off, we have the Olivia. I'll go over the Olivia first because this is generic. So first skill is GB2 when attacking Vanguard. CB1, Persona Flip, to bounce any number of rear guards to your hand, and if you bounce 3 or more with different names, you can call 2 cards, one to the front, one to the back, and she gets a crit. So it enables multi-attack when your opponent's at 5, because Somni is on hit, but she's on attack to Vanguard, so that's really nice. You just need to keep in mind that you need to bounce you need to bounce at least 3 cards to actually call the cards back down. So sometimes what you need to do, you just need to play out like a heal guard PG behind Vanguard just to bounce it as part of the cost. So just gotta keep that in mind when using this card. But this card's really good, and I wish I had 4, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to get 4. So yeah, so 2 is serviceable enough, but ideally you have 4. And finally, we have the Meer Stride. So her skill is, once per turn, if your heart is a mirror, you can flip anything. It doesn't have to be herself, but you want it to be herself because for other skills. So the cost is just flip anything, and then you can bounce a duo rear to hand. What this does basically is enable Clancy's draw skill, which is basically the easiest way to proc that draw skill, draw card. And then what you do after that is you can't. This bounce is optional, but the actual skill is you can search your deck for a mirror and add it to your hand. And then if you have another copy of herself face up your you can add another card. So if you flip something else, you can add 1. If you flip another copy of herself, you can add 2 to her hand. And you usually want the 2. Yes, you're taking triggers out of your deck, but again, this deck's kill turn is very resource intensive. So having an extra card, even just as discard fodder or as an attacker, is really nice. And at worst, if you're not going for the kill turn immediately afterwards, you can toss it as stride fodder, which is pretty good. So this card is honestly the reason why this deck, I think the deck is so consistent, because as long as you draw the Mere break ride, you will always have your break ride target, as well as the fact that it procs your on bounce skills of the Clancy, so that's also really good, and the fact that it's just a straight up +2 is just good. So yeah, I think this card's really good. I think you definitely don't need more than 2 of this card, because you only ever go into this card once. Sometimes you don't even go into it at all, just because if you already have your pieces in hand, why are you taking triggers out of your deck, right? So yeah. So this was the list. The reason why, again, why I brought it, because I thought this deck is, I think the main reason why this thing's like so good right now is because Narukami is very popular. I'm not gonna say good, because I don't think it's particularly that good, but I think it's very popular because it's at a strong enough power level while also being really cheap to build compared to everything else, at least. So this deck is really good at countering Narukami specific, because resist intercepts plus booster that can't be killed, plus very defensive options, plus you can just kill them better than they can kill you. So yeah, I think that's actually really good. If you already have all the Mere cards, this deck isn't that big of an investment to go into, because it's basically just 2 runs through a box. Through the box, that's not that bad, right? So yeah, tell me guys what you think about this deck down in the comments. I'll have some games for you guys after this. It might be longer. I might just put all the games I had on stream during the CS with this deck at the end, so this video might be a little bit longer. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.